What's up, my friends? Welcome back to another edition of Crossing the Line podcast. Thanks so much for checking us out once again. And I am going to put a caveat to this episode right away. I'm going to try my best because, as you can see, I'm in a different location than I normally am. I'm in my living room today. The wife's away. I have free reign of the living room. She doesn't watch. She's not watching TV. She's not sleeping already. So I'm going to try my best to get through this hour-long podcast, guys, without my dog barking like she's barking at the gates of hell. And there's a demon on the other side of my door because she tends to do that.
Is your dog a clairvoyant?
She's only 30 pounds and she thinks she's way tougher than she is. And she's one of those dogs that will bark incessantly at the door. But the moment that either me or my wife walks through that door, as soon as we turn the lock, she goes sprinting underneath the kitchen table.
Well, she wants to make sure the neighbors know there might be a tough dog in there. That way,
she plays mind games.
Don't open the door.
Do you have a beware of dog sign?
I should. And then underneath, I'm going to put a picture of her face making like the cutest, most innocent face possible. Like rolled up on her back, like, you know, showing her belly, looking for pets.
Oh, God. Just make a little like window in your front door, just big enough to where like her head can go in.
Yo, no joke. My mom got a new front door, a new screen. Like, you know how you have the wood door and then the screen door of some kind. She got a full glass door, just so that dog can look outside the window. The 10 times a year that she's at my mom's house.
That's a good grandma.
It's a classy move.
It is a classic grandma move. Anyway, so I put that caveat at the beginning of today's episode, gentlemen. It's good to be back with you guys once again. Recording this a little bit later than usual. We had some scheduling conflicts, and we got to start right away. Jack, you okay?
I'm fine. Yeah, Rangers lost. Rangers suck. Everyone but Igor Shesterkin. It's going to be awesome for the next 7 to 10 years to waste another generational talent between the pipes, a tradition like no other. But yeah, I came to terms with it last night because they sucked so bad in the first 10 minutes that there was zero hope. So the next hour 50 were coping. And I woke up feeling great today.
At least you have a good goaltender. I can't say the same for, I don't know when the last time the Flyers legitimately had like
Bernie Perrant.
Yeah, basically.
I mean,
we had how good for a little while.
How good are you talking about? Like, Carter Hart's a good goalie. He's not Shesterkin good.
I'm talking top 3 goalie in the NHL. We haven't had that probably since Bernie.
Yeah, I mean, Shesterkin, I don't even think Carter Hart's good, but he can't single-handedly win you a playoff series. I think that's kind of the level we're talking about.
That's
but
fair.
Yeah.
I think Carter Hart is better than average, but he's not great. And I think we talked about this before. I expected Carter Hart to be great, and I think a lot of us did.
It's also tough to play behind a team that defensively is the way the Flyers have been the last couple years. There's no talent. Like, if you stuck Carter Hart on the Bruins this year, foreshadowing, they suck. They lost too. But if you stuck Carter Hart on the Bruins this year, his numbers are better just by default because he's not giving up as many grade A chances. But yeah, after what he did his first full season and then the couple steps back he's taken, that's definitely concerning.
I realized every single time the Flyers play, I don't know if you ever realize this about the announcers. They always say Carter Hart. It's always Carter Hart. It's never Carter. It's never Hart. Carter Hart.
As fast as they possibly can.
And so
that's why you should play in Boston.
Cat a hat.
It's so bad. And you know what the worst part is? I don't even think it's the worst. To me, it's not because I live in and around Philadelphia. The Boston accent and the New York accent aren't as bad to me as like the thick, heavy, never left Delco accent.
Philadelphia's.
Mine is right there, and I've tempered it because I've been in radio for so long, and I've kind of learned how to speak. But you guys have seen it if I drink or I'm tired, and I've never lived in Delco a day in my life. But that's the worst by far.
Mike has one of the best Delco accents too.
It only comes out when we went out for drinks before your wedding, Tyler. Me and Mark was staying with at my parents' place for your wedding, and for anyone listening, and I got pretty banged up that night. And we walk in, my mom's waiting for us, wanting to hear what we were doing that night, and I'm just talking in the most ridiculous Delco accent, and it just gets more ridiculous the more I drink.
It's kind of fantastic though. I can never get there. I can never figure it out.
You kidding me, dude? That was
Bang, bang, burr gang.
It's bad. It's really, really bad. Well, guys, we got a lot to get into today. We're going to talk about recapping the NFL draft. The MVP of the NBA has been announced, and I guess all four of us are happy because we've adopted Jack as our fourth Sixers fan, so we'll talk more about that. The NBA and the NHL first rounds are over. Which was the best series out of the two leagues? And, of course, we're going to have some fun to wrap up today's episode. Stick around right here on Crossing the Line. Yes, we are back. Just a quick foray into the graphic design world from Mike and Jack. And guys, by the way, if you haven't had an opportunity to do this, this is a really good opportunity to hit that subscribe button. We are so grateful. Our goal by the end of April was to hit 40 subscribers. We are well over 60. So I can't thank you guys enough. A lot of hard work has gone in. Jack's done a lot of really great editing work with our shorts. Mike's done a lot of really great editing work. Mark and I are just here for the ride. So I can't thank you guys enough for all of the contributions that you guys have put together. And, of course, for our friends hanging out with us each and every week. Thank you for your support, as always.
Yeah, real quickly, Tyler, I will say I may have made a bet with my team. They said they subscribed, a couple of them. I said, listen, you get us over 1,000, I'll get you guys Nike uniforms.
Wow.
Ooh.
So are they going to push it through their schools? I don't know how it's going to work, but whatever happens at this point.
Fucking love Coach Mark.
We're getting monetized, boys.
That's the subscription that, like, it's like anything that has an algorithm that catches wildfire, right? You go to bed, it's like 70 views. You wake up, it's like 1.4 thousand. You're like, what the hell just happened?
I love that our highest viewed short is of Mark's cat, Gary.
Of course it is. It has to be.
He's an incredible being. And he's the best mascot we could ask for.
We would not be where we are today without Gary.
You hear that, buddy?
Promise myself I wouldn't cry.
By the way, before we dive in, I do want to mention, based on the graphic, you are listening to us. Zuli mentioned earlier that we're recording on a different night than we normally do. It says on Mondays or in parentheses, whenever the hell we feel like it. This is whenever the hell we feel like it.
And guys,
it was put there for a reason.
There was zero obligations, right? There wasn't like a meeting. There wasn't late work. It was literally, we wanted to watch sports.
Well, I did get back from my cruise yesterday.
And you got that's true. You probably had the only excuse.
To be fair, I instantly regretted my decision to not record last night. I much rather would have recorded last night than watch the shitstorm that the Rangers put on for 60 minutes at the Prudential Center.
Well, you gave us an opportunity to hate our lives for about 2 hours and then at the end feel really good about ourselves, because watching that Sixers game, there's a meme on Twitter that basically says, I can't wait to watch my team play. And then it goes, God damn it, this sucks, for like the majority of the picture. It's like a timeline. And at the very end, it goes, oh, cool, they won. That was last night.
that sums up watching playoffs in just about any sport, I feel like, if your team is in it. Yep. It's the best if your team's not playing. But when your team's playing, it's like excitement leading up to the game, suffering, and then if they won, suddenly you rationalize that you felt good the entire time you were watching it, when in reality you were hanging on for dear life, just praying that they won at the end of the time.
It was a tumultuous time.
I texted a buddy of mine before the series started, and my exact words were, the Sixers can't hurt me anymore. Because they've done enough emotional damage to me over the last 5 years. The roller coaster that they have put us on as Sixers fans, like, they can't hurt me anymore. So anything that happens in this series, I'm at peace. And somebody that has a mindset of I'm at peace, they can't hurt me anymore, is a dangerous fan. Because now I get to just have fun.
Yeah.
I want to say that because of the whole process and everything, but also, man, if one more Philly team gets to a final, I've said this maybe every week. If one more gets to a final and loses it, I'm going to lose it. And when I lose it, watch out, Georgia. All right.
The whole state on notice.
Didn't even say the city. Nope. The whole state.
Watch out, United States of America.
That or like the floor below me apartment. Watch out. Either
A drastic change, but we all watch out nonetheless.
way.
Well, we do have good news surrounding the Sixers team, at least for now, particularly in one player in Joel Embiid. 73 of the 100 first place votes for Joel Hans, his rightful earned MVP Embiid name now. It's funny, guys. We talked about this, and I know, Mike, you're probably going to spew some venom on Nikola Jokic. So let me say some positive things before, Mike, you get your hands on this. I saw this circulating recently, and I actually tend to agree with it. Statistically speaking, this may have been Jokic's best year of his career. And there's a very rational piece of my brain that says Nikola Jokic very rightfully could have been the MVP for the third consecutive time. His team was a 1 seed, and statistically speaking, it was the best year of his career. And they have dominated most of the playoffs. They, ran through the Timberwolves. They beat the Suns in game 1. All of that leads me to say, like, this could theoretically have been a third straight Jokic, but something felt different. And I think it was when I started getting reports that, like, people from The Ringer were sending their votes back in for Embiid. And that publication, no disrespect to them, but they don't like Joel Embiid. And so for them to publicly put their votes out that Embiid was one gave me a little bit more pause for, not concern, I guess the antithesis, pause for celebration.
Well, I think you have to, exactly what you said, Tyler, you have to take into account of how we feel as Philadelphia sports fans. The past 2 seasons, we've watched Nikola Jokic win the MVP. And I will never, we can always go a little bit further for the podcast for a little bit more dramatic effect. Nikola Jokic is an unbelievable talent. I'm always going to believe that. He's an MVP caliber player, and he's shown that multiple seasons, including this one. However, so is Joel Embiid. And for me, watching Nikola Jokic the last 2 years win the award and have so many of the mainstream media, fans from other teams publicly come out and just shit on Joel Embiid, acting like he did not deserve to be in the conversation, never sat right with me and always pissed me off. And that's what made us feel like it was that much more important. And again, this is just an individual player award. I understand that the 76ers still need to go on. They still need to win a couple more series to end up taking home the trophy that legitimately matters. But in this specific case, I think we as a city won the MVP. It's not just Joel, because of everybody talking shit, everybody acting like he's not worth it. Embiid is a hated player in the NBA. For what reason? I don't know why. I don't understand why it's not, you look at a guy who comes from nothing to be able to go and become the player that he's become while being the funny dude that he is, courting Rihanna on Twitter, tweeting out just the most ridiculous shit all the time. Like, he's a likable dude. I don't know, for whatever reason, he said some shit that rubbed people the wrong way, and ever since, he's been on the shit list. But I cannot be happier that he's getting his flowers, because as much as Nikola Jokic had a fantastic year, Joel's was just that much better. And from an analytical standpoint, from a basketball watching standpoint, he's the guy who unbelievably deserved to win this year. And yeah, I'm going to spew some fucking venom. Having to watch the Denver Nuggets social media team tweet out fucking picture of Jokic. I don't know if anyone's watching this, you can see me. He's like, it's a picture of him doing that. And it says, seemed like a pool day anyways, shrugging emoji. And then they tweet a fucking minute highlight reel of him with the caption, our MVP. Now, I don't know if the Sixers social media team did that either of the last 2 years, whatever. I would shit on them too. That's just a classless move. Give some flowers to the guy who wins it this year. Your guy won it 2 years in a row the past 2 seasons. Like, come on. What are we fucking doing?
It's funny. I don't think it's classless. I just think it's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I have no issue with you touting your own player. Like, if the Sixers would have done it, and I agree with you. I think if the Sixers would have done it, I would have sat here and said, Mike, that was dumb. That was really, like, you look dumb right now. I don't know about classless, but I do think it's pointless. It's stupid.
It gives some real, like, not my president vibes. And then,
Oh, that's a we don't want to lose subscribers. We don't want to go down that road.
Okay, sorry.
All right. This is
the NBA office.
I don't know how many people watch our podcast, but this is my analysis. Fuck Vorp. Fuck Nikola Jokic.
Jeez.
Go Joel Embiid.
Fuck boy.
Back Vorp.
I'm gonna let you guys just go, man. You guys are feeling it today. I came on and I'm like, hey, you know what? Jokic was really great again this year. And he's so good. And I'm just really thrilled that my guy finally won. You guys are just spewing F-bombs all over the place.
You know
Look-
what? Because we watched that happen to us 2 years in a row.
I don't even care that much about the NBA, but I love spewing hot takes and I like getting passionate about sports. So if I have the opportunity, I'm going to do it.
Who do you hate more? Let me ask you, Jack. Or what? Zach
we know where
Edey
this
or
is going.
Vorp?
I don't even know what Vorp means, so I can't hate it. I mean, I just think like I hate nerds that have tried to ruin sports. I will stand by this take. This is just advanced analytics in general. I think are going to get a lot of people fired because people are going to trust their charts more than they trust their eyes. And Aaron Boone's a perfect example. I hate him. He needs to be fired too. But they trust the numbers so much with the Yankees, and he is one of the worst managers in baseball because he just goes by the numbers. If he would trust his eyes half the time, he'd be a better manager. I hate Zach Edey so much. Still, so much.
That stupid giant with his dumb face and his not good at basketball. I got you, Jack. All right, I got you, buddy.
Yeah. He won the player of the year. He couldn't even beat the shortest team in the nation. It's unbelievable.
You know what's going to keep analytics alive is every few seasons you're going to get a San Francisco Giants from a couple years ago where Gabe Kapler comes in and everything goes right? Their starting pitching stays healthy. Their aging veterans all play well at once. And they win 103 games in what was at the time one of the harder divisions in baseball because you were dealing with the Los Angeles Dodgers 16, 17 times a year. Every once in a while, you're going to get a team that breaks the trend of my eyeballs tell me, and we're going to go fully analytics. Like, I think, quite frankly, I was reading a piece on the Seattle Kraken, and Dave Haxtell's a huge analytics guy. He's a spam shots from the point type of guy. And it didn't work in Philadelphia because they didn't have any talent, right? You can't, if you're getting shots blocked and then you have no speed, you're going to give up a lot of breakaways. But Seattle's kind of in that same boat this year, Jack, where they are a heavier analytic-laden team because they're led by Dave Haxtell. And you get these teams that win a couple of playoff series or win a lot of regular season games, and then people go, see, there's justification for it.
Yeah, but they don't win it all, right? And that's the key.
Correct.
Like the Carolina Hurricanes are in a similar boat where analytically they are an incredible team, but they've consistently lost in the second round for the last 4 to 5 years because they don't have elite goaltending and they don't have elite scoring. They don't have guys that put the puck in the back of the net consistently. So yeah, like analytics will get you so far, but I truly believe that like at a certain point, sports are like, we're dumb people and we love sports. And I would like to think that we know a good amount about sports. Sometimes you just have to dumb it down, and what your eyes are telling you, that's the truth. Like numbers can only tell you so much. You actually have to watch it with your own eyes. And I think supplementing your takes with analytics is helpful, but going full blown on this is what matters. And I'm just going to look at this chart and that's what's going to tell me a good player versus a bad player, good team versus a bad team. That's a terrible way to do it. And I think too many people are starting to look at it that way.
I just feel like every time we see a team that has like the sabermetrics or they rely wholeheartedly on just the numbers, we see a team that beats them in the playoffs, that relies on being a team, playing the game the way, we've always played it, stuff like that. No matter what sport you look at too, whether it be, hockey, basketball, baseball, football, it doesn't really matter. The team with the better players that work together the best tend to work, that they tend to win. I think you're right, Jack, though. Like being able to supplement your takes with the numbers so you can kind of back yourself up is helpful. But there's something that, people that know sports can see talent and they can see what works.
Wow, boys. This is getting so serious. Tyler, I'll let you interject in a second, but I just got to take a minute to take a step back and point out the MVP of the NBA this season once told his college teammates that he gained his manhood at 6 years old by killing a lion in Africa. That's where we are right now. What an unbelievable stride for the NBA.
Yep. And you're telling me that man has never won an MVP before? He should have won an MVP at 6 years old for killing a lion in Africa.
What I'm saying. They hate us because they ain't us.
Is there like a most valuable lion killer? Where are we at here with
verbal meme. Joel Embiid, handshake, scar, killing a lion in Africa.
You just hear DJ Khaled going, lion, over top.
So I got to ask you guys. Now, I think that Philadelphia, along with New York and Boston, have some of the most vitriol-driven sports talk radio in America. I think those three are the biggest fight-inducing sports talk cities. And
guys, he can say it. He was part of it. He can say it.
Oh, I don't think you need to be a part of it to say. I think it's factual. Like, I think that working in Philly for 5 years, there's been times where I didn't want to start a fight just because it wasn't worth it. But the one thing that I've learned to let roll off my chest is negative comments, right? But I got to call one out because we put up a video about 2 weeks ago where it was that kid, playing the game and he's like, skip. But when does this game get good? You know what I'm talking about? We put that video up and it finished with Joel Embiid. And I got one comment that said, do you even watch basketball? And all I want to do is comment back, why, yes, I do. #MVP. That's all I want to do. I don't need to get. I don't need to respond with other vitriol. I just want to respond. I just want to prove my point.
But hear me out. That'd be great for the channel.
Would be great for the channel.
Everybody go and comment on that guy's comment.
Yeah.
#MVP.
Right.
All right, guys. Let's continue things on. We do have a lot more NBA playoff coverage. We'll get into the NFL draft as well. But NHL, NBA playoffs, first rounds are in the books now. Mike, I guess we will recuse you a little bit on this one because you were on vacation in a way. So
the answer is the NBA draft. No, I'm just kidding. The NFL draft.
So you've not had a chance to sit down and digest some of these series the way that we have. But guys, between the two NBA and the NHL playoffs, a lot of good series, some really bad ones too. But for you guys, of the two, the NHL and the NBA, which do you think was a better first round? And was there a specific series of the two that really jumped out to you?
For peace of mind and for my stress levels, for my gray hairs, for everything else, it was the Sixers series because the Sixers series ended quickly. It ended painlessly, and we moved on.
Hey, listen, like I said, this team can't hurt me. So anything that was the opposite of that was really nice, especially without Joel Embiid for Game 4.
I was terrified going into it, but we're fine.
I watched way more NHL than I did NBA. Shocker.
You hockey fan?
I know, weird.
I didn't know you were a hockey fan.
Wearing a football jersey, you never would have guessed.
Why?
But, yeah.
You're a Coyotes fan. You're a Coyotes fan, right?
But yeah, nothing screams hockey like the desert. But no, I thought the NHL first round was objectively better. No series was shorter than 6 games, which I think is pretty awesome. There's just a lot of parity and a lot of upsets. But I think the best first round series was the Panthers and the Bruins, largely because of the historic defeat and Game 7 overtime. Again, I've said Game 7 is the best scene in sports. Game 7 overtime takes it to another level in hockey. And an overtime winner for a team that literally needed their 81st and 82nd game of the season to even get into the playoffs against the team that won 65 games, 135 points, set records. It's why hockey playoffs are the best. And I think that was a good series too. It wasn't like it was like the Devils Rangers went 7 games. There was maybe 1 to 2 good games in that entire 7-game series. It was just a lot of one team playing much better than the other. There were a lot of really, really good games in that Panthers Bruins series, and best one I watched this year easily.
So I got to ask you, Mike, before you give yours, Jack. I need to know, and I don't know if you Mark and Mike, if you guys have heard this. What the hell was that Bruins final call? Did you guys hear? I don't know if he's radio or TV, Jack. You might be
He's
able to
TV,
elaborate.
so it's Jack Edwards. He was an ESPN studio analyst.
What,
in the
1850?
90s? In the 90s, I believe.
He's in his 90s.
He is the worst. And this is coming from someone that did
Terrible.
play-by-play and knows how difficult play-by-play is. He is the worst announcer across all major sports, across all minor league sports that I've ever heard. Homer to the nth degree. He compared the Bruins collapse to the Hindenburg, which, as someone that loves a poorly timed joke, objectively hilarious to hear this guy melt down and compare his team collapsing to a literal balloon, blimp, whatever the hell you want to call it, bursting into flames, and people actually died during that. It was a terrible, 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 terrible call. But it was also that much better because he cares about that team probably more than anyone not playing on the ice. And to watch him just lose it on national television is hilarious.
Do we think he compared it to the Hindenburg because he was also like in his like mid-30s, mid-40s whenever the Hindenburg happened? Or?
He's not even that old. Like, he might be 70.
It's kind of old. I don't know, man.
I need to find this out now. What's his name again?
Jack Edwards.
Jack Edwards. We got to find out how old this dude is.
This is the important hard.
I'm gonna guess 71.
He's 66.
There you go.
It's not that old at all.
This dude looks like he looks like he should be working for Google. Like he's a software engineer at Google. This guy doesn't know hockey.
That's Bill Gates' brother.
Tomorrow we're rolling out the brand new smartphone.
iOS 16.4.
What was that Jordan Peele movie where they're evil?
All of them?
Us.
Yeah, that's the Steve Jobs version of Us.
He's the tether. He's the tethered.
Yeah.
Mike, I know you were on a cruise and you were away. Best series for you that you had a chance to watch.
So it was pretty easy for me.
Or the NFL draft.
It was the NFL draft. But I will say I'm going to not leave it up to my opinion, but I'm rather going to leave it up to the opinion of the cruise ship casino that I spent a lot of my time at. There were only a couple of different TVs at the bar outside of the casino. I was watching the draft. So I was the only one cheering when certain picks would happen. But for the majority of when you would hear a big uproar of something happening, it was coming from NHL games. So I'm going to say that the NHL was the more exciting one simply because the people on my cruise at the casino liked it more.
I think objectively you guys are correct. The NHL playoffs as a whole were better because, I mean, listen, we love a 4-game sweep, right? For our fandom. It wasn't a very good series. Like, quite frankly, the Sixers didn't play particularly well in a majority of that series, and they swept out a Nets team that obviously, has gone through a whole bunch of turmoil this season. I think that there were some really good series in the NBA playoffs, but I think that there were some bad ones as well. If we're talking about the best series, though,
Bucks.
That was fun to watch too. For different
probably would be my pick
for different reasons. Exciting. But the series that I thought it was like haymaker, blow for blow, like two big boxers stepping into the ring, was the Warriors and the Kings. I thought it was a tremendously exciting series for a team that was a 6 seed. Obviously, we talked about the Warriors. They're the Warriors. We know what they are. We know what they can do. And there were certain nights where it looked like the Kings were going to run them out of the gym. And there were certain nights where the Warriors looked like they were still the Warriors. And when you get into a Game 7 situation, it doesn't matter how well De'Aaron Fox played. It doesn't matter how well that entire group of guys, Domantas Sabonis, and they had a couple of guys step up too and play some big minutes. When you have Steph Curry and you have Klay Thompson and you have Draymond Green in a Game 7, you can't pick against them. And it was a really good series, but towards the end of that Game 7, it was pretty well understood that the Warriors were going to win that series.
I know we're talking Embiid MVP, and he's obviously an electric player to watch, but for my money, there's no one more exciting to watch just take over a game than Steph Curry in the NBA. Like when he gets going and he can make anything from anywhere. And it's not just like he's shooting crazy 3-pointers. Like he made a 18-foot floater look easy. Like he just makes stupid shots when he's on. He is easily like, as someone that doesn't love the NBA, I just love watching Steph Curry because nothing misses and nothing even touches the rim. It's just like swish, swish, swish from anywhere on the court.
Like circa 2018 Steph Curry is like the most electric thing to watch ever.
You know what's crazy too? Like most of those Gen Z people on TikTok and whatnot probably don't even know that reference, Chef Curry with the pot boy. Like that's how long he's been that good.
Yeah.
Just gonna put that out there.
He
changed the way we look at 3-pointers.
Yeah.
The line is not the line anymore. The logo is the line.
The parking lot's the line.
Well, Jimmer Fredette did that. Let's be real.
Fair.
He was electric when he was draining threes at Davidson, knocking off number 2 Georgetown. I mean, he was this same guy then. He's obviously gotten better, but like he was just as electric and could still captivate an audience when he was in college.
Yeah, and the one thing that I think Steph Curry doesn't get a ton of credit for, he's become a better defender. I will never say Steph Curry's a good defender, but that's when we say that, it's obviously NBA relative, right? Like if he stepped on the floor with us, he'd wipe us and we'd lose 21-0 in 7 possessions. But
twos and ones. We're playing 2s and 1s.
All right, so 10.5, 11 possessions.
No, it would still somehow be 7 possessions. I don't know. He'd be like, "Can I just go to the other side of the court and hit a 4-pointer real quick?"
That being said, though, Steph Curry is the only player not named LeBron to get preferential referee treatment, though. Let's be real. Like I've seen Steph Curry.
I disagree with that.
James Harden
step back move.
James Harden got it for years.
James Harden got it for years.
Trae Young got it for a long time too. Until they banned, and obviously you can't see it if you're listening. Until they banned that side move, the one where Trae Young and James Harden would go up and then go into contact.
I'm talking about right now. I'm not talking about 3 years ago. I'm talking about this year. Well,
yeah.
And listen, anybody that's an MVP candidate, with the exception of big men, right? Because I'll be honest, I mean, I didn't watch like a ton of Nuggets games, but like I'm not going to sit here and say that Jokic got every call. He got a lot. So did Embiid. Embiid gets a lot of calls. Like Embiid could probably get called for 4 charges a game if he wanted to. When he does that Euro move and collides with somebody, eventually it's going to be a fit, right? So like superstars get superstar treatment. It's across the NBA.
I'm just looking up Steph Curry's defensive rating. I don't even know what that means, but it's advanced stats.
What's his VORP?
Ooh, that's a good question. Steph Curry.
I hate that you both said it at the same time.
I said,
I hate the stat.
Listen, I'm not going to say his defensive rating's off the charts, right? His win share defensively and all that stuff is not. But the one thing that I give him so much credit for, both sides of the ball, offensively more than defensively, but both sides of the ball, he is always moving. And not just like jogging from place to place. That man is sprinting corner to corner, coming around screens. He and Klay Thompson move so. I mean, Thompson not so much since post-injury, but you watch those two guys, they are moving constantly.
Can you imagine having to guard Steph Curry for a game?
God, no.
You honestly need at least 2 guys because one's just going to tire out. It doesn't matter who he is. It doesn't matter if it's Pat Beverly or, I don't even care who. He runs around so much. He's like a soccer player. He just never stops moving ever.
I have a question. Who's a better basketball player overall? Shaquille O'Neal or James Harden?
James Harden is a better basketball player Shaq is a more dominant basketball player.
Who's a better basketball player, James Harden or Steph Curry?
Steph Curry is a better basketball player.
Not according to Vorp.
Was I totally backwards on that?
No, Shaquille O'Neal. James Harden is in career Vorp. James Harden is 16th all time in the NBA. Shaquille O'Neal is 17th. Stephen Curry is 22nd.
Vorp's accurate.
Who's number one?
LeBron James.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
LeBron James is 30.51 Vorp points ahead of Michael Jordan.
I don't know what Vorp points are. So
LeBron number 1, Michael Jordan number 2. Do we have any guesses who fills out 3 through 5 on the all-time Vorp list?
Does it go all the way back?
It goes, this is NBA. That even has NBA/ABA.
Wilt Chamberlain.
So yeah, Wilt's got to be on there, right?
yeah.
It might not go that far back.
Mm.
Yeah, let's go, let's say like 70s and on.
Okay.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird is number 15 all time in Vorp.
Kevin Durant up there?
Kevin Durant is 12th all time in Vorp.
Magic.
Magic is 14th all time in Vorp.
Oh, wow. Bill Russell?
He is
Probably
not up there.
Probably doesn't go back that far.
Doesn't go back quite that
I kind
far.
of figured I just check it.
What's Kobe?
Kobe 13th in Vorp.
So we're hitting all the teen. Not like 10 through 20. We're solid.
Yep.
But we can't
Apparently don't know 3 through 10 though.
3 through 5.
You're like fucking Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard, I don't see him in the top 20.
That's good.
Karl Malone.
Karl Malone, number 4 all time in Vorp.
We got one.
Kareem.
Kareem is number 8 all time in Vorp.
Okay. Oh man. John Stockton. No,
Number 3, the only other player not named Jordan or James to be over 100 career Vorp.
Wow. I guess the assist must be a massive.
It must be, because you know who number 6 is?
With that being said, is Vince Carter in there?
Vince Carter, not in the top 20.
Okay.
Current player? Assists?
Yep.
Maybe CP3?
CP3 is number 6 all time in Vorp. And number tied for last in championships.
I'm going to throw a name out there. Current player. Is there a current player still on that list?
In the top 5?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
This one is.
What about the top 10?
Top 10? No. Chris Paul and LeBron James are the only 2 current players in the top. Chris Paul, LeBron, Durant at 12, Harden at 16, and Steph Curry at 22 are the only players in the top 25 still currently playing.
Hot boy.
KG is the last guy. He's number 5. Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, it's my guy too.
Anything is possible.
My favorite player of all time, Kevin Garnett.
And that was Vorp.
Brought to you by
Idiots.
Our word of the day, Vorp.
That was such shitty podcasting. Just guessing a list off of like.
No, it's not. People are going to play along, and they're going to be like, "You're a bunch of morons."
I can't wait for the first comment that just says, "You guys are idiots. Can't believe you didn't get this right away."
Yeah, the same guy's going to come back and be like, "Dude, I knew Stockton was 3 from the moment this segment started." Do you even watch basketball?
I have the Vorp Bible. Don't you have the Vorp Bible? Get together, boys.
I literally created Vorp. Like, oh, you're the asshole.
That makes sense. Okay, I get
Checks
it
out.
All right, so whether you like Vorp or not, you know who's in the top 5 all time of the Vorp statistic. The NBA playoffs have been exciting. The NHL playoffs have been more consistently exciting, I think, for most of us. One final thing we got to get to before we get to our game of the night, and that will be brought to you by Mark Vignani, by the way, is the NFL draft. We talked a lot about it last week, so we didn't want to touch on it too much, except, yes, Jack, you don't have to raise your hand.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. That would have been rude. I think I speak for all of us when I say I believe we're at 65 subscribers at the time of this. If any of our subscribers are listening this far into the show and you are on team I like Vorp, We don't need your numbers. You can unsubscribe. We'll find them somewhere
No,
else.
no.
No, get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Don't be telling people to
We
leave.
like the haters too.
We are
Do
an
not tell-
anti-Vorp podcast. Anti. That means we hate Vorp. Don't follow us if you like it.
Don't tell people to leave.
Hey, you like Vorp?
Reverse psychology. More people will subscribe because of this.
Just
They're
tag
gonna rebel.
do hashtag Vorp in all of our
All of our shorts, hashtag shorts, hashtag Vorp.
See what happens.
I mean,
Kyle,
the one we put hashtag cats on got 1.5 views. So I'm just going to do hashtag cats when we talk about the NFL draft.
Hashtag idiots.
Well, have you guys? So I know we're going off on a tangent. Have you guys actually ever looked at the analytics of some of our videos?
No.
So
I can't read.
Well,
we
that's
have we
fair.
not established that we hate analytics?
Yeah.
Can't even read.
So in the analytics, there is a tab that you can see like how your video is found via other searches, right? So like it would make sense that our video on MVP the top search was Jokic, right? Makes sense. But there are certain things where one, for example, was like Star Wars Battlefront gameplay. And I'm like, where do we come in? Like, I like Star Wars a lot. I'm a Star Wars nerd. But I don't know where we fit in that criteria of Star Wars Battlefront.
Nerd.
Nerd alert.
Nerd.
I'm
No,
surprised.
I like all things nerd. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, big fan. The only thing I don't get into is Star Trek.
Zully's he's a Disney adult as well.
I am, it's true. So is Mike, though. He might be worse than me.
I don't think
He
Mike
moved
was
down
here
a
for our
bit.
Harry Potter conversation when
I
we.
fucking love Harry Potter. I'm not a Disney adult. I just enjoy going to Disney World. Like
All right.
I won't wear like Disney merch other than like my baseball hat that I have.
What? Wait, Mike, you weren't here for our Harry Potter conversation?
No,
Hey,
Where I-
Mike, here's a question.
Where I said Harry's a system wizard?
Also, Cedric Diggory, little bitch.
Oh, I was here.
Easy.
Cedric Diggory is not a little bit.
Hufflepuff.
Cedric Diggory is a hero.
You're
No,
a
he's
Hu-
not.
there is no way you're a Hufflepuff, Mark.
Dude, Hufflepuff, baby. What do you mean?
What do you mean? Do
You're
you
a
even
Griff-
know what the
you're-
houses stand
You're
for?
a Gryffindor.
You want?
No.
Guess
No,
what?
I'm a
Because
Hufflepuff.
we went down this rabbit hole, I'm going to. No one asked for it.
No
But
one did.
because we're talking nerd talk, I saw today some really weird thing. Apparently, Voldemort, his robe is 7 different shades of green, and they every single time a Horcrux was killed, Voldemort got a shade of green taken off of his robe. That's just some wild
See,
shit.
people have too much time on their hands.
Some wild shit. Voldemort though, best villain of all time.
No.
He would
No.
have my.
Cedric Diggory, best villain of all time.
Absolute liability
What a prick.
in the Triwizard tournament.
Hey, he got all the way to the final. He even got to the cup.
And then choked it away.
Wow. With Peter Pettigrew, too. It wasn't even like, oh, God.
Cedric Diggory, the Chris Paul of Wizards.
Peter Pettigrew.
0 championships.
0 championships.
No.
No, that's Lucius Malfoy. That guy is the biggest loser.
I can't disagree with that.
Does he have a championship?
No, I
No,
don't.
then he's a loser.
Fucking loser.
That's how you know he's an elite villain. Every single person is so afraid to talk to Voldemort. It's hilarious. Yes, my lord. Take my wand.
All right.
Can we
real
just get
quick.
to the fact that Howie Roseman owned the NFL draft? Can we just finish this?
Howard
baby off?
Roseman, the Voldemort of the NFL.
Yo, he legitimately might be at this point. Like, people don't want to talk to him anymore. So, guys, the NFL
Take my
draft was
picks, my lord.
it was this weekend. The Eagles picked twice in the first round. The Dolphins don't pick until the second round because they had their first round pick forfeited. So, guys, I do just want to ask you really quickly. We'll go around and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into it. 2 questions. Who was your favorite pick for your team of the draft? And give me a team you thought had a really good draft.
Do
Oh
I
my
have to
God.
not pick the Eagles? Because the Eagles, in my mind, and this is me being as objective as I possibly can be, I thought the Eagles did have the best draft, and I could not have been happier. That to me was a perfect draft. Me and Tyler have talked about the NFL draft for months now, and we could not have picked a better draft if we tried, to be honest with you. Outside of them, I really liked what the Seahawks did. I thought the Seahawks had a really strong draft. I liked what the Colts did. Both of those teams.
Why don't you just give every team? How did you like? Do you like every team's draft?
Yeah, I really didn't like all the teams that I don't like's draft, actually.
So, objectively speaking, I don't think Dallas had a very good draft.
No, they didn't.
Because Dallas is stupid and the Cowboys suck.
It's fair.
Analysis.
I don't make it.
No, we don't analyze. Remember that? We just said that.
I can't read.
No, but honestly, going back to the original question.
God, could you imagine Mark watching the draft with the sound off? What's it say? What's it say?
I have to like wait for the guy to walk up on stage. I'm like, oh, I know him. Okay.
Eagles had the best draft. My favorite pick had to be Jalen Carter. I have been saying it. You can clip it off on this podcast. I thought he was unequivocally the best player in the draft. I can't believe the team that went to the Super Bowl got him, especially at 9. I don't think that he would have been outside of the top 5 if everything off the field hadn't happened. But I also really liked the Kelee Ringo pick. Me and Tyler were really high on him in day 2. Getting him in day 3 is really exciting. I am a little bit tired of all of the Philadelphia Bulldogs talk. Kind of annoying, but hey, a good draft, and I couldn't be happier.
Good problem to have.
Well, how could you be that mad about us just picking off of like one of the best college teams to ever?
Oh, it's fantastic.
In the last, 10, 15 years.
I'll take more of them. Give me Brock Bowers next year. Like anybody else who wants to come over to the Eagles from Georgia, I'm about it. I just don't like all the people like the Georgia Bull Eagles, like stupid names like that piss me off. I like the Broad Street Bulldogs was clever, but everybody's trying to mash the names together. It's like Frank, you just keep mashing
it. Not enough salt in the world.
Frank Reynolds.
You drink orange juice? Like just the chaser?
My favorite pick for the Dolphins, who had a whopping 4 picks. I would say, and this was funny because you texted about it in the group chat, Zuli, when you said, do the Dolphins need another fast running back? And the answer was yes. Devin A-Chain, though, I really like the pick because I think it was a 4.34 40 or something stupid like that. He just has absurd speed, and the Dolphins signed all their running backs this year to just 1-year deals. So I think if he can get a couple reps in the system, and he's going to because McDaniels loves to run a bunch of plays out of the backfield, either quick passes, quick hits, anything like that. I'm sure some stupid announcer is salivating over the chance to say A-Chain gets it by a chain. Something stupid like
moves
that.
The chains.
Yeah. But that's my favorite pick. And best draft is literally every single team that passed on Will Levis in the first round. Kudos, claps. You're so smart. The guy's a bust. Sean Clifford's going to have a better NFL career than Will Levis.
Wow.
Mark that down.
I think Will Levis's girlfriend is more famous than Will Levis at the end of this draft.
But then the worst, I mean, it's tough to analyze like a full draft for me because I think like you can find some diamonds in the rough later, but really if you have multiple picks in the first round, you got to nail at least one of them. And I'm going to be kind of surprised if the Lions nailed one of their first round picks. I think they reached on both of theirs. When you look at Gibbs being drafted at 12 was their pick, I believe. He's going to be a good weapon, but he's not running back should never be picked in the top 10, in my opinion. Even Bijan Robinson, like fine if you're a team like the Eagles, because you have so many other things working for you. But when you're the Lions, like your 12th pick should not be a running back. That's not the thing that is going to put you over the top when you also have DeAndre Swift. That makes no sense to me.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Guess where he is? The Eagles. And then Jack Campbell, like he wasn't even a first round pick. Quite honestly, like he's a smart player, he's a cerebral player, but he's not a freak athlete that should have been drafted 18 overall. So that was just a weird draft by the Lions, and I think both picks are misses in the first round there.
Yeah, I mean, trying not to sound biased, but I'm definitely going to sound biased. I think it's been all over Twitter, it's been across all of the different sports networks. The Eagles had one of the best drafts. I think that you already hit on it, Mike. The Kelee Ringo pick, as late as it was, is going to really prove to be something. I think that's going to be something that is going to really like be a backbone. There's one more Georgia defender, man. Like we don't need enough, you know? I was so surprised when the Falcons took Bijan Robinson, though, that I had texted my buddy Jackson, and he said, "Don't worry, the Eagles just still need a running back, and you guys are already taking," because he's a big Georgia fan. He's like, "You're already taking all the best defenders." Next day, immediately, we were already talking about DeAndre Swift. There it was. I mean, it's like my dreams are coming true right now, and I'm hoping everyone stays healthy.
Yeah, I think it is hard not to say the Eagles. So for the sake of not being redundant, I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers had a really good draft. I think getting Joey Porter in the second round when he was the conversation piece for them for months in the first round, Mike, you and I mocked Joey Porter to the Steelers, right? Because it made sense in the first round, and they were able to get him in round 2 was significant. But not just Joey Porter. I think they did a really nice job of picking up Darnell Washington out of Georgia. He is a guy that intrigues the hell out of me just because I have absolutely no idea what kind of NFL tight end he's going to be. I think he's going to be a better NFL tight end than he is a college tight end because he can be schemed in a couple of different ways. And then I thought their best pick, quite frankly, was getting Keanu Benton, the big defensive tackle from Wisconsin, in the third round. I thought Pittsburgh did a really nice job. One team that I think was not particularly strong, and this maybe is not necessarily fair because they did dive into the trenches quite a bit. I don't think the Washington Commanders had a very good draft. I mean, I liked Emmanuel Forbes, but quite frankly, I didn't think Emmanuel Forbes was better than Joey Porter when he was taken in the first round. I thought it was a little bit of a reach. I was surprised they didn't take Will Levis in that spot, needing a quarterback.
Well, Will Levis sucks. So,
well, I agree, but I was stunned with that selection that he wasn't the guy. You get a couple of interior offensive linemen. I know they didn't have a ton of picks to work with, but Washington was super underwhelming for me. But I thought Pittsburgh had a really nice draft. And again, I think we can all come to an agreement that if not the best, amongst the best. And objectively speaking, the Eagles were right up there.
Yeah, I think the Commanders is a really good call out. I think and surprise for anyone who didn't expect this coming, but I'm going to make another Always Sunny reference. You guys know the episode when the gang gives Frank an intervention, and by the end of it, they're all drinking canned wine and their lips are just stained red from drinking canned wine. This is what I picture the Commanders GM Martin Mayhew in the draft room looking like. I don't know where these picks were coming from. It was just kind of like he was picking out of a hat, like, this guy seems good. Get that guy. That's what it felt like to me from watching that the entire draft, not even the first couple rounds, just all the way through the end. None of those picks to me made sense. As an Eagles fan, obviously felt good about that. Again, clip it off, Commanders fans. If I'm totally wrong and they end up having Emmanuel Forbes go to the Pro Bowl 4 times in the next 6 seasons, sure. But I don't expect that happening. I think they really passed on a lot of value there. And I thought that they had pretty well-positioned picks as a whole.
And on the other hand, if you want another Always Sunny reference, Howie Roseman is like Dee and Charlie in the episode when Frank fake feeds them human meat. And the only thing that can quench their hunger is more human meat. And the human meat is Georgia players in this sense, because that's all Howie Roseman was trying to get. Drafting them, trading for him, everything. He's got the hunger.
I mean, listen, I'm a big proponent of you can find talent where talent exists, right? Like there's good players everywhere. But there is a track record of success. You know that's backwards, bud, right?
Louis, there it is.
There is a track record of success when you take players from teams that win national title games, right? LSU, Alabama, Georgia. These teams have won Ohio State. Ohio State now has 90 first-round picks in their school history. There's a reason for that.
And guess what, Tyler? The best undrafted free agent, where did he go? Philadelphia. Eli Ricks was a guy that I had in my top 60 when we made lists of who were the top guys. He's got injury history. I understand that's why he fell, and we don't know what he's going to be. But 2 years ago, he was one of the best cornerbacks in all of college football. I mean, I think it's pretty ridiculous to have these guys who are in the spotlight. They're playing. I mean, this guy went to LSU, played on that team, transferred to Alabama. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous that these guys are getting passed over the way they are, because I understand that the injury history might be something that guys are taking them off the board, But why not take a flyer in the 6th, the 7th for a guy like that? Then he
I
ends
think
up
we
becoming an undrafted free agent, goes to Philly. They got another good prospect to work with.
I think we made a good point about this. If it wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago, something like that, where we said the Eagles have the ability to take chances right now. They have the ability to do something like take a running back in the draft, which they didn't even do. They traded instead. Like, they can take a chance. They can get a guy that might have injury problems. They can get a guy that might be an off the field problem. Because, like, worst case scenario, you're out. You're gone. Like, whatever. No skin off our back, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, teams that are in positions of success have luxury picks. Teams that are in positions of success that are also picking in the top 10, that's an even bigger. Like, the Eagles had that opportunity. The Lions are knocking on the door of success. They probably fumbled that bag with, as Jack alluded to. I think Mike and I both like Jahmyr Gibbs a lot, but not at 12. And the Seahawks also were a playoff team that had a top 5 pick as well, and they get their, a tandem corner with Tariq Woolen. When you have multiple selections, you have the ability to have some luxury selections.
Yeah, the Lions to me are weird, like a team that isn't quite there but has shown flashes. I don't know why, if you're in a situation like that, you don't kind of adopt the model that the Ravens went with for a long time, which is just draft best available player. Like, if you don't quite have all the pieces, don't worry about maybe filling the needs that we always see. Like, they need X, Y, Z on this draft. Like, just get a really, really good player and then find the need in free agency or something else like that. But when you really try to fill the needs as a team that's 7-9 or 7-10, I can't keep up with the extra game here. Like, I just feels like that you're asking to reach for picks when you try to fill that need when you're not really one piece away or even 2 pieces away.
I got to be honest, and this is to go against the grain. I actually thought the Lions did okay. I understand that I wouldn't have picked Jahmyr Gibbs at 13. I probably wouldn't have picked, the linebacker Campbell that they took in the first round either. However, I still think those guys are really solid players. They ended up getting Sam Laporta, the tight end. I think he's a really solid player. Branch, who we loved. Didn't he go to Detroit?
Yeah, I thought their day 2 was significantly better than their day 1.
Overall, I think they got a lot better, and I was really impressed with what they did. I understand the first round, scrutiny over taking Gibbs 13 and Campbell at 18, but I still think those guys can be. I think Campbell's a phenomenal player. I think he's going to be a lot better than a lot of people are giving him credit for. I think he could be a first round talent player.
If you don't put numbers on those guys, it's a really nice draft.
Right, correct.
You put draft value numbers, and then you start to think about your board versus
right.
So,
but we could also look at guys who, again, you talked about him earlier, Tyler. The Cowboys drafted Mozzie Smith in the first round. I don't think he's that good. Like, I understand you can pick him 26, you can pick him 40, whatever. I still think that the Lions, the guys they got in the first round, are super talented guys, and I like them as prospects. Other teams drafted guys who I think absolutely stink, like Lucas Van Ness, and that is where you're going to really have problems.
Yeah, and this is where I think, like, this is the best and worst part about the NFL draft is, like, you have hours and hours of discussion here, but realistically, you can't grade an NFL draft until 5 years after it happened, right? Because, like, it's not going to happen because he's not good. But what if Will Levis magically, like, doesn't throw 20 interceptions his first season? Then we kind of look like idiots. What if Lucas Van Ness isn't a piece of crap as a D-Ed? Like, but it's not going to happen because we're smarter than that.
What if the Hindenburg didn't blow up?
Jesus.
All right, Jack Edwards. Every time that I edit, there's always something that I have to contemplate. Do we clip it? Do we not? But we never edit anything.
Mark?
Oh, it's time, boys.
It is time. And Mark, I'm gonna let you just take this thing away because you have the game this week.
Hey, listen, I didn't know I had the game this week until roughly 30 seconds before we started. So I've been racking my brain. I've been thinking. I was like, what would be fun? What would be an exciting little segment here at the end, right? We all played a lot of sports video games. Am I correct by thinking that?
100%.
Oh. And I think one of the best series of video games were all the street games, street football, street basketball.
Yep.
with street football, anytime you went to a draft, there was always a player you were looking for. There was one, and honestly, there was even another one I would settle for. How many times would you, first off, how many times would you go into a game and back out until you got the draft picks you wanted? And who was the guy that you felt like you needed that badly?
So I think that the answer to the first question depends on who you're playing. Like if I was playing the computer, it was just me, I was chilling and playing, I would go in and out until I got my guy. Didn't matter. I was trying to have fun. Like there wasn't a season mode. If you're playing another person, like my brother and I used to do this, we would go, all right, if we would see the board and then we would go, all right, do you agree to backing out and going back in? If one person agrees, the other doesn't, you're playing. If both agree, we'll resettle. So I think it depends on who you're playing and what the setting is.
That's a fair assessment. Because that's funny. I didn't realize that everyone played it the same way, because that's exactly how we used to do it.
We all had the same childhoods, just in different places.
Correct.
Yeah, there were some days where I felt like I would back out, 30 times just because. But there's sometimes where I actually just want to play the game, and eventually backing out is only gonna prolong the inevitable of playing the game. But I would say on average, 3 to 5 times, depending.
Okay, all right, Michael.
Yeah, I would probably say 5 times seems like a solid number. Because
right, so question number 2.
I'll let you ask the question because I was probably going to get into it.
Question number 2: who's the guy? I know who
my
guy was. I knew exactly who I wanted to see on that board, and there was also one other guy that I knew I would settle for, maybe 2.
Drew Bledsoe.
Say mine, or just let you guys just say it because you already know what it is.
Oh, you can say it because he's probably the second most prolific sports athlete in all of video games behind Pablo Sanchez.
If Mike Vick wasn't on that board, I just wasn't going to play that game. I didn't want it, all right? Maybe I would settle for Dante Culpepper or Donovan McNabb, but I wanted Mike Vick, all right?
There were only 3 good quarterbacks in that game.
Correct.
Oh, that was it. Because you had to run. You had to run, and they could run.
You couldn't use Manning had an arm bar that went all the way up, but he couldn't move. His running was 2, which makes sense because he ran like he had a tractor trailer tied to his back in real life. And you couldn't escape the pocket. The pocket would break down, you get sacked, right? You need a quarterback who would be mobile. So if you didn't have one of those 3 guys, you were at a severe disadvantage.
And as much as I loved Donovan McNabb growing up as an Eagles fan, I loved playing with the Vikings because Randy Moss was fun as shit too in that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other guy I love, speaking of running, obviously Vic is the correct answer. There's actually a correct answer to this question, which is weird at the end of the day, but in street and honestly in any other football game from 2004 to 2007, I loved LaDainian Tomlinson. Tons of fun to play with him.
Actually, funny enough, last year I was playing Madden and I had a franchise and I skipped through, did a fantasy draft, and I imported a roster and it was the legends. Of course, I got LT. And dude ran for, I want to say 3,500 yards.
Oh my God.
It was unfair because then I got Mike Vick and he ran for the other 3,500.
You could have won. You could have won with Will Levis as your quarterback with that team.
Whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
7,000 yards rushing.
He's not going to be able to take the snap.
So
too much mayo on his hands.
Because I was always trying to outthink people, because I thought I always and still do think I'm a lot smarter than what I actually am. You can open up an entire volume of the playbook in NFL Street that is inaccessible. Well, I shouldn't say inaccessible. You can still use it. It's unusable if you do not select a wide receiver who has the ability to throw the football. And that is why he was not the best receiver in this game. But if Antoine Randall was on the board, I was taking Antoine Randall every time because you could run the option pass, you could run the reverse stuff, you could run trick plays and stuff. You need a receiver who can throw the football. Otherwise, you are limited to the 3, because it was the 4 boxes, right? You couldn't go into trick play. You're not going to give the ball to Randy Moss and have him throw the ball downfield. He can't do it. You need a receiver who can throw the ball.
I think that leads me to another question. Who was like your favorite, or at least like who you thought was the best offensive player at defense or defensive player at offense?
Charles Woodson was an elite receiver. Elite receiver.
That's a good shout. For whatever reason, Javon Curse was always really good for me at tight end, and I don't know why. It was incredible.
I really liked playing with B-Doc. I don't know why, but him at receiver was good for me as well.
He hit hard as shit, too.
That's true.
But you know what the funny thing is about this game? We all mentioned a bunch of players. There is undoubtedly the best player in the game, unquestionably, is Ricky Williams.
Love him.
I mean, like, obviously
Dolphins.
cover athlete,
Dolphins.
but you couldn't tackle him. You couldn't bring him down. He was elite.
Did you ever play against somebody that was so bad you just run the wall, you just keep going like this, and they just keep missing? For those who can't see, it's just up and down. Just up and down. Up off the wall, on the wall. Off the wall, on the wall.
Now I want to play NFL Street.
Great game.
Right?
I think I have it. Somewhere here.
I'm thinking, guys,
We're doing later.
next week may have to be backyard sports draft day.
Let's do it.
I think that's a great idea.
Sure.
Because here's the thing too. Next week we got a whole bunch of stuff going on. A podcast may not be ideal in traditional settings, right? Backyard sports might be the play.
I think it is.
There you have it, folks. You just got an exclusive sneak peek at next week's episode.
Mark, sound the horn one more time. I'm excited.
Hell
Next
yeah.
week's episode. Guys, before we wrap this thing up for the week, any final thoughts on anything we talked about or life itself?
Will Levis sucks.
Correct?
I do want to shout out. We were just last week talking about how awesome it would be to get a hole-in-one. My buddy Jameson was my partner in golf yesterday and got a hole-in-one. And I never thought I would witness one, but that was pretty awesome.
What'd you shoot on the hole?
I actually got a par on the hole, and
All right.
it was my
Respectable.
best shot of the day, but it paled in comparison to his shot. So basically it was like, this is my best shot of the day, and it still sucks.
Did he dunk it or did it trickle in?
Two bouncer.
Okay.
Would you rather dunk it or bounce it in?
Oh, I'd rather
let it
dunk
like trickle in.
I dunk it.
I want to dunk it.
Ridiculous.
Dude, I want to dunk it so I can hear it, you know?
But then we went into the clubhouse, and there's some random Florida man, old dude, no front teeth, that walks in. He goes, "Oh, you got a hole in one? Nice. I got 4 of them. 1 on 1, 1 on 2, 1 on 17, 1 on 18. We're like, shit, well, thanks, dude. Now we feel terrible because you don't even look like you could swing a golf club, and you have 4 hole-in-ones.
More hole-in-ones than teeth. That's impressive.
Oh, God.
Jack, you got anything for us?
No, that was it.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you next week. We've got a lot to get into, including our backyard baseball draft of sorts. So for the guys in some semblance of an order, I should have this figured out by now, but in some semblance of an order.
Changes every time.
Jack Molesky, Mike Davella, Mark Fagnani. I'm Tyler Zulli. Thanks so much for checking us out. Remember, too, please, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscription notification and, of course, like all these videos if you don't mind. And if you are listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, we thank you for tuning in on there as well. We'll talk to you next week right here on Crossing the Line Podcast.
Hey!